What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be showing you how to change the shocks on your C4 Corvette. This is an 87 model, so it might be different for you depending on what year you have, what package you have, but I'm going to be showing you how to do it on this car with the standard suspension. So I'm going to be running through the whole procedure. I'm going to show you the best practices, what tool to use, as well as the torque specs at the end. So stay tuned. Hope you get something out of this video.
Quick disclaimer, I am not by any means a trained technician. I've worked on cars as a hobby for the past 6 years, and everything you see in this video came from me being self-taught and the things I've learned over the years. Do what I do at your own risk and make good judgment.
Hey guys, so it's me from the future. Before we get started, I just completed the job, and here's the tools I used. So for sockets, we have an 18, a 15, obviously we have our wrench, then we have a 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench, very helpful for this job, I will say, a flathead screwdriver, a torque wrench, a breaker bar, and last but not least, we have a mini sledgehammer, which helped us with gentle persuasion when we needed it the most. So these are the tools I used. Depending on your setup, depending on what you're working with, it may be different. This is just what got me through the job. I got the wheel off, and here's what we're working with. I have an 87 model, and I don't think I have any special suspension going on here. So for my setup, we just have one bolt on the top and a nut, and then on the bottom we have one nut and a washer. So to start things off, you want to get your jack, and you want to jack up the bottom of the knuckle just a little bit. Don't go crazy, just make sure something's holding it just in case, so we can relieve some tension from up here. So first we're going to start on the top. What I'm using here is the 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench. I'm going to go at it from the side where the nut is. So I'm just going to do this by hand, see if I can do it. Doesn't work by hand, give it some persuasion. There we go. Smooth as butter. Now, once you got that loose, you'll realize that the bolt will start spinning. When this happens, just get your ratchet with a 15 millimeter, put it on the other end, make sure it's on loose, and now you can go at it at the same time, and this should hold the bolt still while you're unloosening the nut. Okay, so this might be the case for some of you, but once you remove that nut, you'll realize the bolt is still kind of stuck in there. So if this happens, what you can do is just get your socket on there, and for my case, I have it on loosen, but I think you can put it on loosen or tighten for this. Doesn't really matter as long as it's spinning. And I'll show you what I did right now. So while you're loosening or tightening, just go on the other side and just push the bolt out just like that while you're spinning it. If that doesn't seem to be working, either jack up the car or lower the car just a little bit, and that should relieve some of the tension. You'll be able to see it and feel it. So while you're lowering or raising it, wiggle it, see if you can move it. Once you start feeling that movement, you're good to try to get that out. Another method you could also try is getting your flathead screwdriver, set up like that right against the ball, and just giving it some love taps. Okay, so with the top out, let's move on to the bottom. Okay, so the bottom is the same deal. We're going to be using our 18. Just like that. And just like that, we got our nut and our washer out. Now we're simply just going to manual this thing out of here. Now, depending on how much tension you have on your knuckle, this may either be easy or hard. Again, if anything is hard with removing the bolt or the strut itself, try lowering or raising the jack and seeing if that'll help. So in our case, it just came out real easy. All right, so let's take a look at these struts. So, I mean, obviously they're pretty dirty, but I'm taking a look at the bushings, and honestly, I have full confidence in these that, we can continue running these. They are a little little dry rot or a little cracking there, but they're not mangled, they're not shredded, anything like that. Same thing with the top. The tops look a little better, but still a little bit of that cracking. Now my main reason for changing these shocks out was because of the age. So these are the original ones, you know, they're 30 something years old, and my issue wasn't really with the bushings, but it was with the internals. I wouldn't want it to blow out on the highway or something like that, so I figured, you know, spend $100, buy some new ones, replace them. I feel like it'd be good insurance. And what we have as a replacement is the KYB gas adjust shocks from Summit. So I read a lot of good things about these on the Corvette forum. It's made in Japan, so honestly, you know, I love my Japanese products. I've owned 3 Japanese cars in the past for daily drivers, and yeah, I trust Japanese products. At first I thought these were the wrong shocks, because as you can see, the top one goes this way, the bottom one goes that way, and I looked at this and I was like, wait, why do these both go the same way? These actually do twist, so as you can see, you could turn it to whatever you need it to be. Another thing is that you do not have to keep this band on before replacing it. Simply just cut it off, the shock will open up, and you'll still have plenty of room to get it in there. So let's go ahead and install the new shock. So it pretty much just goes in the same exact way it came out. So I'm just gonna put it through here. I'm gonna make sure it goes into where it's supposed to go on the top, and on the bottom I'm going to push it right through just like that. You may need to lower the car. Again, raising or lowering the car with the jack here is essential. You're gonna have to mess around with some things. So I'm just gonna put it right in there just like that. And now I'm gonna try to get that top bolt started through there. Okay, so in my case, once I got that bottom part in, the top wasn't really lining up with these holes right here. So what I had to do was actually lower the jack. That lowered everything, and now I can slip the bolt in. But you'll notice that, you know, once I get the bolt halfway through, it doesn't match up to here. As you can see, the shock is higher than the hole. Okay, so I got the suspension lowered pretty much all the way, and I pushed the bolt through until I was able to see, you know, the tip protruding through the other side. At this point, I'm just gonna put a socket on there. I'm gonna push on the socket while I'm tightening it. And as you can see, we're now threading through the body and the shock. And then you might get to a point where you can just push it through just like that. Now we're gonna go ahead with our nut and no washer, and we're just gonna screw that into there just like that. Now we're just gonna go with our 18, and we're gonna tighten everything back up just for now. We're gonna torque everything later. I'm gonna give you the exact torque specs straight from the manual. So for now, I'm just gonna put it in there nice and tight. There we go, that ain't going nowhere. And now we can start working on our bottom. Since we looped it in, it's already sitting in there nicely. Make sure it is flush against the knuckle. I'm gonna put the washer in first, and then our nut. I'm just gonna tighten that in by hand. And then give it a little tighten by hand. There we go. Alright, so now that our shock is installed, we're going to have to torque these bolts down. So I'm referring directly from the Haynes repair manual, and in rear suspension we can see shock absorber to stud knuckle. That's 84 through 87, 51 to 66 foot-pounds. And for our shock absorbers to body bolt, 94 through 87, we have an 87, so 85 to 73. So we're gonna go ahead and torque these down. All right guys, now in my case, click by click, so I'd have to basically get it on there, and I'd lift it up as much as I can, and then once I get that once I get into that locking position, I'd you know, push down on it, and I was able to get it just like that. Slow process, but I managed to do it. On the bottom, I simply just came from this way, and then I pushed down on it from the other side of the knuckle. And yeah, our shock is now installed. It's literally the exact same process on the other side. You know, some things might be in reverse. For example, this might be the bolt might be on this side and the nut might be on that side. But other than that, it should be the same process for the other side now. You know, sometimes that's not always the case. We get unlucky out here. But for the most part, it's the same thing. So you guys can take care of that. I believe in you.
Alright guys, so while I was editing this video, I forgot to point out one thing. So after you're done the job and you lower the car on the ground, your wheel is going to look like this. But don't worry guys, this is just temporary. This is not your new ride height. All you simply have to do is put the car in drive, move up a little bit, put the car in reverse, back up a little bit, and then maybe bounce the car a little bit, and it should settle down and relieve all that tension off of the back.
And yeah guys, that is all there is to it. As you can see, it looks about the same as it did before. However, we do have that reassurance that nothing bad is going to happen moving on, at least for a while.
If you guys did find this video useful, make sure to drop a like down below. If you have any questions about the job, leave a comment. If you have any suggestions on how I should do the job, leave a comment. I'm open to learning. Like I said, this isn't my profession. I didn't go to school for this. I'm just kind of like a garage mechanic, and any tips I can get, I'll take them with open ears. So, thanks for watching this video. Hope you got something out of it, and have a good one.